tonight's session of Urban Shadows Vienna 1950. We are gathered here to play the role-playing game Urban Shadows, a game of supernatural urban politics published by Magpie Games, and we're going to be moving it from its default contemporary setting to occupied Vienna in 1950. So we are part of the Gauntlet community, a great group of gamers on the internet. You can check out the Gauntlet community at gauntlet-rpg.com. There are hundreds of games going up every month, and at the end of October 2019, there's going to be an exciting online Gauntlet Con, which you should definitely check out. Also, check out Magpie Games, publisher of this game we're playing, Urban Shadows, and a lot of other cool stuff from Zombie World to Masks to Bluebeard's Bride. Let me quickly say something about the setting and tone we're playing with, and then I'll have our party of players introduce themselves. So we're setting the game in a supernaturally inflected version of 1950 Vienna. The Cold War is going on between the powers of the East and the West, but there are older, darker powers at work within the city itself. Vampires, fae, wizards, who knows what else lurks in the shadows of Vienna. Our intrepid players will find that out as they see how they get what they desperately need within this city of shadows and spies. So we're going for a kind of noirish espionage tone. If you picture the game in your head, you can picture a black and white movie, and we'll be using some cinematic vocabulary about cutting from scene to scene, or when the camera zooms in on someone for their reaction. I'm aiming for more of a hard PG-13 as far as a rating of this game, and we've also got some safety tools on the table: the X card, lines and veils, and the open door policy, so that we can have fun and keep each other safe while we play this game. And let's now meet all our players. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Alexi, he, him, and you can follow all of my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games. So that's Cloven Pine Games on Twitter, or Cloven Pine Games on itch.io. And I was very excited to play around with Urban Shadows in a couple different time periods. I've previously done it in London 1604, and then doing a Cold War city. Urban Shadows also really appealed to me as the next different time setting to check on. So folks, if you want to introduce yourselves like that by saying your name, your pronouns if you wish, your online handle if you wish, again, and what's exciting to you about the prospect of Vienna 1950 Urban Shadows, please go ahead. We'll go in character keeper order, starting with Pearl. And again, this is first introducing yourself as a player before we come back around to characters.
I am Pearl, and I use she, her pronouns. We're supposed to say what's exciting about the game and anything else before I...
Yeah, you got
it. So what's exciting about the game is the setting for me. I don't know. It just sounds exciting. Vienna makes me think of all kinds of things. And I like these players a lot, and I always love Alexi's GMing, and I sort of am used to the Urban Shadows rules now, which puts it ahead of most other games in how I understand them. So all of those things.
Very sweet, Pearl. Thank you very much. Great to have you here. Richard, I think you're next.
All right, I'm Richard. Can everyone hear me? Are we good? Yeah, okay. My online handle is Suratur. I'm excited largely about the setting. It's kind of intriguing. I think it's an interesting historical juncture to be dealing with, and I think that's about it as far as introducing myself goes. So
good to have you here. All right, Sarah, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Sarah, she, her. I live in New York, and setting is super interesting to me because I lived in Germany for a bit in my youth, and Austria and Vienna is gorgeous. I have a Klimt on my wall behind me, and very excited.
Oh, fantastic. Well, great to have you here. Leandro, over to you.
Hi, my name is Leandro. I use he him pronouns. The thing that's most exciting to me is it's mostly because I saw the third man while really way too late, and I think I fell asleep and I woke up to Orson Welles looking down on all of humanity and disparaging cuckoo clocks. I think that's what the movie's about. Anyway, the setting is intriguing, and Urban Shadows is a system that I only got to play a few times back in January, and I'm really looking forward to trying out a bit more. Trying it out a bit more. That's a sentence. Yeah, that is a sentence that I just said.
Excellent. Glad to have you here and joining us for this game of Urban Shadows. Let's meet these characters. Pearl, I'm going to ask you to lead us off. Tell us, introduce your character to us. Make sure to tell us their faction and anything else you think we should all really know about your character and what you hope to see him do in this setting.
I have a character introduction written up. I'm going to go ahead and say in advance that I am of the Fae, because I don't think I put it in there. The rest, I think, makes clear my general outlook. So, willkommen und bienvenue, mesdames, messieurs, meine Damen und Herren, and everyone in between. Guten Abend, bonsoir, good evening. Wie geht's? Comment ça va? Je suis enchantée. Je m'appelle Sophie or Fiona. Mais auch ich heiße Johannes. Call me what you... Sorry, I practiced for the other name. Call me what you want when you want. It's all about your pleasure here at the Cafe Marcus Aurelius, where I'm the entertainment director, MC, and if you are lucky, the main act myself occasionally. This is neutral ground, so leave your troubles and factions at home and come hear the music play, where life is a cabaret. And if you need a place to rest or even somewhere to hide from the dark corners of our dear Vienna now and again, just come and see Johannes, and he'll tuck you away. And of course, Fiona, or Sophie, is always a gracious hostess. And to be sure, whether you prefer Sophie, Johannes, or a little bit of both, if you like your entertainment a little bit more private, well, there are always days when the shows are dark, and I live right above the bar. So don't be afraid to say hello, bonjour, or whatever greeting you prefer. After all, we do aim to please. But don't let me keep you. I know there's always work to be done. Just remember to come back when you need to unwind. Auf Wiedersehen and bonsoir for now, meine Lieblings.
Excellent. Good to meet Sophie / Johannes. And you've got that MC pattern down. We'll just have to try to avoid confusion since the GM is also the MC in this game. Tell me, what corruption move did you pick here?
Yes, I'm in the middle of filling it in on the character keeper. I picked the one that allows me to have all of the fairy powers instead of just the 3. Although it does mean that I can't take harm when I use my fairy magic, which presumably means there's a lot of corruption in my future. Oh dear.
Oh yeah. You got to always mark corruption or owe your monarch a debt, huh? Do you have an idea for that already? Who what court Sophie / Johannes hails from, and who the monarch he or she is loyal to is?
I do. Let me. Bother. I just have to remember which it was. I know I picked it when I was looking, and then I didn't see anywhere to write it down. Father, where are they? I know they're in here. Faye book. I think it was Spring. Does that sound like one that is a thing?
Of course.
No, I can't find it.
Spring is a classic court of the Fae. So that makes sense. Sophie Johannes hails from the Spring Court. And what monarch do you, if you can tell me now or message me later if you think you have an idea for the name of the the monarch that rules over spring?
It's Jean-Luc, of course.
Jean-Luc. And is Jean-Luc a king, queen, lord, lady, duke, potentate? What's the title that this Fey ruler takes on?
They actually preferred to be called my dearest.
All right. Jean-Luc title, my dearest. Fey potentate. I will loop back with some backstory questions, but let's meet some other characters. Otto Moser. That's your character, Richard. Tell us a little about him, and especially mention the archetype and faction you've got.
Yes, I am Otto Moser. Same last name as me. I tend to do that when I have an Austrian character. I am playing a veteran tied to the Mortal faction. And I got through the war and the subsequent occupation by playing all sides, making whatever promises I had to make. And I feel like the point we're entering Otto's life is when all these things are starting to come due. And he's really good at putting out whatever fire is directly in front of him, but there's an awful lot of fires right now. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of how long he could keep the plate spinning.
And is he kind of a government functionary, court counselor type as far as
Yeah. He's he has probably he probably had a pre-war functionary role and managed to avoid getting too tainted by the transition to the post-war era, but and has informal relationships with people from all sides.
Yep. And we established we started building up some NPCs that of from the Eastern Bloc and representing the Western powers. Very good. And you've got the move that lets you kind of generate more old friends on the fly.
Right.
If you miss with it, they want you dead. So that's very exciting. I want to see you roll that a lot. Mostly for the hits, of course.
Yeah.
And what corruption move did you choose for Otto starting off?
I chose the catch you fuckers at a bad time. So yeah, that just kind of lets me arrive in a scene and possibly bring someone with me.
I like it a lot. Very good. Other things we should know about you, Otto, before we move on to get the initial introductions for the other characters.
I should mention my character bears a striking resemblance to a notable composer who's living in Vienna at the time, and could be mistaken for him at any moment, probably when it's least convenient. I'm kind of desperate to find the thing that's going to get me out of all these messes I've created.
I'm sure that will be relatively simple to accomplish, and won't get you into further messes along the way. Sarah, tell us about Cosima Sorgel.
So Cosima is a sort of vampire. She's quite old. German by birth. I think she lived in Berlin for a while and left, I think, not long before the Allied powers came in and started ruining everything. And she ended up in Austria, in Vienna, because this is where a lot of the art ended up. She's in it was more official, I think, in the war period, but now it's gone kind of underground. Her goal is to just collect as many beautiful things as possible, because there's been a lot of ugly things happening in the world lately. And she sometimes goes to unorthodox means to acquire things.
Very nice. I'm excited to see what you you end up drawing into your web here. Tell me what corruption move you picked to start off with.
Eyes that burrow. It's an oracle move, I think.
Because you can take a corruption move from another archetype as an advance. Yeah. All right.
Or corruption to lock eyes with someone and force them to be still for as long as you maintain the gaze.
Interesting. What do your eyes look like when you do that? Is there any kind of tell?
I think she's got brown eyes, but when she's doing this, there's sort of like a red corona around the irises.
Nice and classic. I like it. Very good. All right. Let's meet the last but not least member of this cast here, Emily Landau. Leandro, why don't you tell us about Emily?
Yeah, so Emily Landau is using the playbook The Aware, which is a member of Mortality, kind of like the inverse of the Veteran, in that they're someone who's kind of just they got one toe dipped into the supernatural world. For Emily's case, that came from having met this mysterious lady, self-professed creature of the night named Victoria, who kind of spirited her away from her tiny, semi-insignificant town of, what's the name I put, Cluster Marienburg down south. The whirlwind, passionate romance took her all the way up north to Vienna, lasted for like a year and a half, and then Victoria mysteriously vanished. Part of that romance involved introducing Emily to, well, parts of whatever lurks in Vienna streets beyond whatever the hell the Allies or the Soviets are doing. And, well, Victoria just kind of left Emily with her debts, her intrigues, as if some mortal woman would be able to deal with any of that. Yeah, that's kind of like the main gist for Emily's situation.
Very
at the moment.
juicy. Did Victoria ever get specific about what sort of creature of the night she was, or did she leave that entirely open to further interpretation?
She was frustratingly, but also kind of enticingly vague about it. She is definitely like part of the night faction, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I've got night written down, but of course there's a number of things that move about in the night. So excited to see if we make any steps towards solving that mystery. We'll find out. All right. That's awesome. Let's loop back around and answer a couple backstory questions, starting with our Fae, Sophie / Johannes. We know who you are, I think. How long have you been in the city?
Oh, quite a while. Well, I don't know. I mean, quite a while. But enough years that I'm like a staple at Cafe Marcus Aurelius. So, like, no one who goes there misses any old entertainment director or anything like that. I'm like the established one.
Were you there during the war?
Oh, yes. Have to entertain the sailors. I even have a sailor hat just in case.
Okay. And I jotted down a name for the owner of Cafe Marcus Aurelius, Vanessa Reinhardt. Does that work? Does that work for you?
Sure.
My thought was this character is immortal, but is just invested in maintaining some kind of a neutral ground for a safe space among the different factions of the city. How did it work? Did Vanessa reach out to you to become the maestro D for entertainment here, or did you turn up on her doorstep and say that she needed someone like you to handle the entertainment at her cafe?
Oh, I don't think anyone knew where my doorstep was until I moved above the cafe. So probably not that. I think she put up an ad during a war.
There's still newspapers.
Yeah, so she put up an ad saying that she was opening this spot that would be neutral, and was looking for a variety of staff. And
And
when
there
I
was some
saw
kind
it,
of
I thought it'd be
coded
perfect.
language in it indicating that, fae and wizards and wolves and vamps might be welcome.
I figured it out.
All right.
And obviously, I was the best person in the city for the job as well.
Yeah, very, very clearly. Very clearly. Yeah. What do you love most about humanity, Sophie Johans?
Oh, they're so delightfully easy to entertain and so gullible. You can get them to promise just about anything, and once you've entertained them enough, they get. It's not so much that I'm famous, but just people get taken in by entertainers, and I do so like it when people promise me things.
Did you have more difficulty entertaining people and extracting promises back in the Spring Court of the Fae?
Not more difficulty entertaining per se, but they are pretty careful about making promises. So, unfortunately, as entertaining as I was, I did not get quite as much of that sort of thing.
All right. So like some Fae before you, you have ventured forth from the fairy realm to the mortal world in search of promises to gather from mortals willing to make such things. Is that correct? Am I on the right track there?
I mean, there are many reasons one might leave home, but if I happen to like promises and they happen to be easier to get around here, I suppose that might have been enticing.
Who is your closest confidant in the city?
It's actually Vanessa.
Yeah,
Vanessa. Totally. Because she gave me my employment. It was really not long after I got here, and we just spend a lot of time together. What with me learning about the cafe, and she's always here managing things. So we've grown a bit close over the years.
Have you told her about your world and things from your past, or have you kept the conversations focused on Vienna and the here and now?
I would say more of the latter, but she knows what I am, and she asks questions occasionally. But it's a bit taboo to talk about it with mortals, so I try to keep it vague.
Keeping it breezy. All right. Does that frustrate her? Does she seem to understand that there's certain kind of lines you can't step over in confidence in a mortal?
I think I made it clear that if I crossed lines enough, that my dearest might show up, and that if nothing else, he might require me to return to the court, which would leave this absence, and who could entertain everyone if I were gone. But also that they aren't always that fun to be around, and we try to keep a lively environment here at the cafe. So I think she understood.
Fair enough. Last question I have for you. What do you desperately need, Sophie Johannes?
Desperately need?
What do you desperately need?
I wouldn't call myself desperate ever. That sounds terrible. But you have to understand, I have an image to keep up. Mysterious, not desperate. I had not thought about that. I imagine I should need something. Applause.
Are you getting enough of that at the cafe, or do you have some sort of ambition to get more from the city more broadly?
Well, I get a lot at the cafe, and I do like that, but I'm not the main act as much as I'd like. And if there were a place in the city that wanted to make me the permanent headliner, that would be a bit of a conflict for me, given how loyal I am to Vanessa and whatnot. But I don't know why. Maybe it's a thing with, she tries to keep the entertainment mixed up among the factions and all the things, so I can only headline so often. But
yeah, keeping balance.
I understand. It's what we do around here. But if there were an establishment that wanted a Fae headliner, I would have to give it some serious thought.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Otto, I have a couple questions for you.
All right.
Yeah. So I think we know some things about who you are. How long have you been in the city? Sounds like a
My
while.
whole life.
Yeah. Lifelong resident of Vienna. What was your greatest accomplishment here in the city?
Well, I mean, what I tell myself is like surviving to this point is the greatest accomplishment.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking myself up, it would be the preservation of the basic like cultural infrastructure of the city. And
make that concrete for me. Is there a particular opera house or church or library that you helped to save from the various occupiers?
I would say that I made it a particular mission to preserve a particular fountain.
Nice.
And maybe I can do a little bit of research out of game for next time to narrow that down a bit more.
Sure. Though we can also just make something up.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah. No. And I'll give that as a note to everyone. It's exciting to play around with history, but we also have the opportunity to just make some things up, given that we don't think there were actual vampires in 1950s Vienna. So we're already doing some use of imaginative extrapolation here. That's great. All right. Why did you stop? What makes it so that you're the veteran and not the kind of currently still doing the thing you've always done, right?
Well, it's largely that the occupational authority dissolved my position, and so I've kind of moved into this this mode where I don't have a particular portfolio. I'm just kind of managed to cobble together something out of existing connections and forged documents and stolen bureaucratic stamps. And
you made a little place to land, but you're not actually part of an existing department. I see.
Right.
What do you desperately need, Otto?
Well, I need to. I need stability. I need to find a way to kind of cut this Gordian knot that I've tied. I've been racking my brain for years at this point, trying to make all this work, but it's getting harder and harder to make all this happen. And I'm looking for that one thing that's going to make it all go away.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to witness your quest there. Cosima, I have a couple questions for you. I think we know who you are. How long have you been in the city?
About 5 years. I came right before the Red Army started bombing Berlin.
And you came in pursuit of art. In pursuit of beauty.
I think specifically, Goebbels had a residence, I guess, outside Berlin that he collected a lot of the art and had it shipped south. It was actually caught at the border of Austria, and they sent it back to Munich. But I think maybe I got a few pieces and brought them here, and there were a lot of things stored. Yeah, there were a lot of things stored too in the salt mines in Austria.
So you're still this might tie into some of these later answers. You're still working on collecting these art objects. But how do you keep your cravings in check? And I guess kind of built into that question is also what type of feeding do you do as vamp, or in this setting, the Nachtseher, there's a number of options for what you might crave. So tell us a little about the cravings and what you do to take the edge off.
Let's see. It's the filthiest one, human flesh.
Does it have to be living?
It helps.
Interesting. Yeah. What's
So to keep the cravings in check, she eats. I think there's probably like a particularly bad time where she had to like consume her own body, but that is not the preference, obviously.
it's a distant backup option. All right. So who turned you, Cosima?
Leandro, can I steal your NPC? Cool. So what's her face? Victoria?
Yeah. Turned by
I don't think that's the name that I know her by.
Victoria under a different name. Are you aware that she's gone by this other name then? I mean, I guess that might come into the debts, actually. Nice.
I think, yeah, she's got a few aliases, but would it be more interesting to know or to not know? Let's say I know. It's only 4 sessions.
How did you, were you an unwilling victim? Were you someone who asked for the gift? How did it come about that you were turned, and how do you feel about your sire here?
I think it has given me the opportunity to see so many things in the world. Like, I've been able to travel. I've seen like glaciers off Siberia. I've seen like the street markets of Singapore and like the Roman Forum.
Nice.
And like parts of America, like the Wild West. I mean,
wow.
like growing up,
yeah.
Like, who would have thought?
So that was, but you does this mean you came round to being turned, or were you pretty excited from the get-go?
I think it was a short adjustment period.
Fair enough.
But the longer you live, the more things seem to stagnate, I think.
What?
Like,
oh yeah, go for it.
Like, you live to be 200 years old, and what do you even care about anymore?
Is that about how long Cosima's been kicking?
I think so.
But she appears to be much younger than that, like in her 30s. In her yeah. Is that am I reading the?
Yeah.
The pick you dropped in the character keeper, right?
Eternal life without eternal youth is just a curse.
Yeah. No, you got everything. You just need to eat people. So what's the downside? That's what I ask. What schemes are you invested in right now?
I think I've answered this already.
Yeah, I thought you might. So is there? Can you tell me like a particular piece you're hoping to track down?
The Woman in Gold by Klimt. It is currently in the Belvedere, and I want it.
Got it. It's not a piece that's in the wind. It's a piece already hanging on a fancy wall, but you'd like to relocate it. Couple questions now for Emily. We know a little about who you are. how long have you been in the city? Remind us.
Probably a year.
Mhm.
Probably the least, especially for these PCs. A year and a bit, maybe like not exactly a year and a half, more like a year and a few months, 2 to 3, like long enough that people in the know, but like not long enough to be like, really have the city in their blood.
Sure. We know how you learned about the supernatural. It was Victoria's doing. When did she split, and did she give any reason or excuse?
Not really, no. It was like, it was like a few months ago, at least before the start of this session, and it it was like she just vanished into thin air. Like there wasn't really, there wasn't any signs leading up. It
Not even
just
a note.
no. It's like the in the apartment we were sharing. It's like she never even lived there. Like we'll wake up one night and all her stuff is gone, and it's like there's no trace that she ever lived with me or was ever lived in that spot.
Nice. Why is the city worth saving, Emily?
Because it's to Emily, this city is kind of what it was built up to be for her. It's exciting, it's mysterious, it casts so many deep, dark shadows that are just you plunge into those shadows and you never know what to expect. You never know what experiences to get. It's certainly better than where she lived before. It's intriguing, It's a place you never know what to expect, and to Emily, that's a thrill that's worth preserving.
Absolutely. What mystery are you currently looking into?
Well, there's no bigger mystery than where the hell my girlfriend went off to.
Yes.
Don't know where she is.
Where'd you go, Victoria?
Yeah, and and Emily has like a lot of questions for Victoria because Emily's noticed that she's. Well, I didn't mention before, but the corruption move I took was we can't beat him, which gives the aware 2 non-mortal moves, and the moves I took are skim the surface from the oracle, which lets me read someone's surface thoughts if I touch their skin, which is fun, and invocation from the tainted, where I can just show up in people's presence if I cash in a debt. And
Yeah,
I have some questions on what's been rubbing off on me from whatever the hell, from
sure.
whatever association I had with Victoria.
Sounds like some unusual effects left over from that relationship. I can see why you'd want to get to the bottom of that. Very good. I think the time has come for debts. Bum bum bum. As we find out a little about what these characters owe each other. Isn't that nice? So let's bounce all the way back. Pearl, you've got some debt options for the Fae. Are there ones that like jump out to you as fitting a particular other player character? Are there ones you want to like raise to the table for folks to volunteer for? What do you think? What have you got?
So I think one that I have is you are keeping something hidden for someone they owe you a debt. And I think Cosima could have some valuable piece of artwork or some such thing that someone else is after.
Is this place that you work at, are they like, is it on display? Are they renting it?
That would not be as hidden as I was
loan?
imagining for a hidden object.
I mean, it's a little hidden just because of the like kind of neutral ground status of the cafe, right? If the idea is more that it's protected by not being in a place where someone could rob with more impunity, right?
True. My thought was that if it's hidden enough that Cosima would, if it needed to be hidden enough that Cosima would part with it at all, it would probably need to be hidden very, very well, because whoever was after it would have to be pretty powerful to mess with her. But if you'd like it to be on display, I suppose we could do that.
I'm open to either.
If Cosima gave it to you at all, which if she gave it to you, she'd want it to be on display.
Okay, I mean that's fine. So it would be that you owe me a debt, so you would have had to want for us to have. We could have agreed to put it up, but it won't work if like I asked you to borrow it.
I think.
So.
Oh, I have the one. It's a painting by Jean Metzinger, which I believe is French. I will put it in the chat.
I wonder if I've seen it. I do love art in real life. So
this is one of the lost ones. It was in the Degenerate Art Exhibition in Munich.
I like it.
1937-38.
Well, we would certainly be happy to display it, I think.
Nice. Who is it that's after this that you wanted to kind of both keep it away from and slightly taunt by having it hidden by being on display in Cafe Marcus Aurelius?
I think some not city officials, but mortals who would be enough involved in the supernatural that they might come here, but not enough that they could do anything about it.
Nice. If you come up with a name to apply to, or to be an example of that category, send it over to me. Very good. Let's do another debt question for the Fae. Is there one that you want to call out, Pearl, here, or have someone else volunteer for?
I think I have 3 total, and there are 3 other characters, and I think I have ideas of what the other 2 might be, but I can sort of give those ideas and see if you guys think that they are good, or if you want me to just say them and call things out. That's fine either way. But it seems to me, based on the character types, that you entrusted someone with a dangerous task would be more likely to go to Otto, just given that he's been around longer and is the veteran and all of that, right? And the other one is that someone broke an important promise to me, and that seems like it could have been at any time, including very recently. So my thought is that would be Emily. But if and I could read the rest of, what those are after we've assigned them. But those are the core things of them. Do you feel okay with those going those directions? Or would one of you rather do the other?
Yeah, I that fits as far as my character goes. So what kind of what do you imagine you might have come to me for?
I'm trying to think. So I entrusted someone with a dangerous task. The rest of it is that I ask you if it succeeded or failed, and then that'll determine who owes debt to whom. But we should think of what the task is, because you would know whether that's the sort of thing you would have succeeded or failed at, I imagine. I don't generally like violence, so if there was violence that needed to be done, I probably would have tried to outsource it.
No, violence isn't really my direction. It would be more like graft corruption, forgery, documents, visas, that kind of thing.
Oh, what needed to be forged or who needed to be smuggled, right?
I don't know if this counts as a dangerous task, but maybe it does, because if you got caught, it would be bad. Maybe I wanted some mortal documentation for going around the city, just in case anyone wanted paperwork. I don't even have a real last name, so that makes it difficult when they're trying to figure out who you are. So maybe I asked you to forge me some mortal ID.
All right. I imagine. Well, is it about the danger that it poses to me or to you, or what's the?
it would be dangerous to both of us, right? I would
Okay.
hold forged papers, which, like, if someone figured it out.
Yeah.
So if they weren't, like, didn't seem authentic enough or whatever other reason, that would be not ideal. And dangerous to you probably to forge documents, period, I imagine?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's fairly normal for me, but I'd say that, like, the only thing that really worked was something that where it's such an obvious misapplication of, say, like a diplomatic seal or something like that, that it would almost certainly point right back to me and undo a bunch of other stuff I have going on too.
So you get to say whether that's a success or a failure. It sounds like a success as far as
Yeah,
what
for the
I
time being.
That's just dangerous. So that
so that means that I owe you a debt,
Okay.
much to my sadness. I so enjoy when people owe debts to me, but the rules are the rules. Which means that Emily broke an important promise to me and swore they would make it up to me. And now owe me 2 debts.
Yeah. What's a promise? What important? What's a promise that will be important to you? I guess.
So this might not sound important, but it would be important to me. I had one of my headlining nights, and I hadn't had one in a very long time, and you promised me you'd bring a nice big crowd to show Vanessa, right? I'm going to get it down soon. How much having me as a headliner would bring in, like, maybe she would be influenced to do it a bit more if she saw that I had such a following. Only you did not, in fact, bring a bunch of people, and I felt humiliated, which I do not like. Not one bit. So you promised to make it up to me, at a future show, and so far you have not.
Yeah, probably it's because, again, to you it was a big deal, but to Emily it's like, yeah, it brought in a crowd. Crowd's fine, so I'll make it up to you. It'll be fine.
Yeah, perhaps you didn't realize either how important it was to me or how seriously I take my promises at the time. So you owe me 2 debts.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I like it. Let's hear about Otto's debts here. Go ahead and read what you've got and see if there's things that jump out as things you want to point at other folks or ask how they feel about them.
All right. So I have someone relies on you for training or knowledge. They owe you 2 debts. Does that jump out to anyone? I would imagine that my expertise as a longtime resident and swimmer in the bureaucratic waters of the city might be advantageous to someone.
I might take that. That sounds good. Information.
All right. How do you think that manifests?
I imagine you still have contacts in the government, even if you're not official anymore. Yeah. So, like, you would know when things move around.
All right. Is there something you've specifically been looking for from, like, to track or on the lookout for?
I think I'm trying to get you to arrange for the woman in gold to, like, go on tour.
Okay.
How's it going?
Not well. Yeah, it's kind of tangled up because it's been caught up in a kind of Cold War tug of war. There's the art scene was kind of a battleground over capitalist versus communist ideology at this time. A lot of, like, CIA funding of abstract expressionists and the like. So I didn't realize that it was that there were already people with agendas in the mix, and so something I thought was going to be really easy is turning out to be a lot more complicated.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
I very much like it. What else we got for veteran death?
I have you're working on something big for someone and it's nearly ready. They owe you a debt.
Ooh. Seem like something that you think you might be working on something for Emily, or might be working something for...
Well, I mean, it could be like searching public, searching sequestered public records, or if you're trying to find something on Victoria.
Yeah, that was what I was going to suggest. Like, I've asked you to basically to help me track her down, and what she's been up to. Like, she can't. No one can just disappear like that. Even supernatural folks in a city like this.
Yeah, so I'm looking at like visa applications and.
Why is it feeling my face all of a sudden? Oh, I'm not. How am I not muted?
Yeah. So what the big thing you're working on that's nearly ready is a kind of culling from the database anything that might give clues
right, and it's pretty laborious. I'm trying, I'm having to call in favors to get people to go through giant stacks of paper.
Oh God, yeah.
We're well into the Urban Shadows aesthetic here of favors on favors. Emily, did you just learn Otto's name because he was kind of on some kind of a list that Victoria had, and then you reached out to him to be like, you have to navigate this government stuff for me and find where she's gone?
Yeah, I think very much it's like, okay, so Victoria had people she knew of. I think Otto was one of those she knew of. I don't think Otto knew Victoria, or at least probably didn't know her as Victoria. So I think this is very much like you know stuff, right? I owe you, but I need your help.
Right. And then I have someone keeps pulling my ass out of the fire.
That could quite conceivably be me.
Yeah.
Since I have a safe haven and lots of people owe me favors over around town, I would say. Probably, since that's my whole thing.
You could be helping with the kind of misdirection campaign to keep people from figuring out where I am at any given time.
Yeah, in writing to Alexi beforehand, I even put that I'd like to have one of the green rooms be like a hospitality place, but also somewhere that I might allow someone to recover for a night or hide. Just purely as a favor from me, of course.
Okay, well, I think that works well for me.
So who was on your tail when Sophie / Johannes pulled you out of the fire there?
Well, I mean, the flippant answer is who isn't, but but I would say that I would say that I was responsible for diverting a fairly large shipment of champagne from an American diplomatic function.
And where did you send it?
I owed it to Boris to get that.
Yes. All right.
So I was paying a debt to him by doing that.
And the Americans were on your tail when Sophie or Johannes helped you out.
Yeah, there's an American military official who was really embarrassed by the lack of this champagne that he'd been talking up and promising.
That's great. I'll need his name at some point, but
all right.
We can keep going because I think that's all your debts squared away.
Yep.
All right.
Which, did I gain a debt? Did something happen?
Yeah, I owe you 2 debts.
Okay. Lovely.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I should have flagged that a little more. Be alive all through this conversation. You might want to, if someone ends up, owing you a debt, you might want to jot that down on your own character sheet. Double entry bookkeeping style, so you can know like, oh, is this the person I can call in a debt with? And calling in a debt is a way to mark one of your factions. I'll remind folks. All right, Kozuma, your debts. Let's hear them.
Someone bears responsibility for you becoming a vampire. They owe you 1.
So it sounds like it's Victoria, but all of Victoria's debts have
Can
just
we
been
can we
dumped
shift
onto
that over
Emily.
onto?
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what's happening, and we have to deal with all this.
Is it that like once Victoria was gone, like like kind of demands started getting slipped under your doors and windows and chimney and whatnot of like just everyone that she owed something coming to say they're collecting from you?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what Victoria's been saying to people around, that like, yeah, oh, like me and Emily, we're tight like that. So anything anything I owe, she bears responsibility as well. So it's more like, well, now that Victoria's gone, people come to Emily like, yeah, where is she? And I was
All
like,
right.
oh, that would know.
And thus you owe Cosima vicariously for Victoria. Cosima, your other debts.
Someone relies on you for their fix. They owe you a debt.
Ooh,
Broad
that's
interpretations.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can interpret that however we need to, but who is it that you're, dealing something to, right? Or otherwise kind of keeping in something that they need. Is it possible that
I have a messed up idea, but I want to hear what people think first about other things.
anyone have an idea to proffer before we hear Sarah's messed up idea? All right, let's hear the messed up idea.
Well, Emil, your girlfriend was a vampire. Or maybe just like, because something of her was rubbing off on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you get that same like residue off of me.
Yeah, it's like there's something about her presence that like turns out I really need.
Yeah, that is so sad and messed up. And Vampy, I love it. So the fix that Emily is getting is just the type of aura that Victoria had that she's now getting from spending time with Cosima. Am I following that correctly?
I owe so much.
Cosima, are you aware that this is true and are taking advantage of it?
I think I know that she comes to visit a lot more often than anyone else I know. And she doesn't always come for things or information.
Just coming for the vibes, yeah.
Well, I have a really nice house.
Do you think that she's in love with you, or do you think that no, it's just your scent, or your or whatever kind of sensation it is? Possibly not even a basic senses thing, but whatever kind of vampire aura you're giving off.
I think I haven't quite figured her out yet, and that is interesting.
Fair enough. And one more debt, I think, right?
Yes. Someone make sure you get fed regularly. You owe them 2.
That could be me.
All right, compromising your morals.
I mean, just a smid. I would never do it in the cafe.
So who are you
feeding
sending to Cosima? Like, are there people that you judge worthy of having their flesh eaten by a century-old Noctser?
I think we get all kinds of clientele, and I think it's either people who treat the staff badly and are generally like they talk during performances. They're just like not very nice. That
I see.
maybe
So the people who give bad tips, you kind of point them out to Cosima.
yeah, and then perhaps at the end of the night, after they've left, Cosima might be able to, as they're walking home. Either that or there's a back door and I just send them out the back for Cosima to be waited. But yeah, I would, I don't like people who are ill-behaved in the cafe.
I get that. My only question, that sounds great. Like, definitely write that down, make that a thing. But my only question is, does Vanessa know that you're doing this?
I don't think Vanessa likes people who talk during performances either.
Okay, but does she know that you're having them eaten, or did she mention something about those people needing to behave better, and you've interpreted this to mean I can feed them to a vampire and it's fine?
I think probably the latter.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
she's happy not to have them around anymore. It's like, does she need to know the specifics? No.
I'm pretty happy with that. How does everyone feel about that? Great.
I'm gonna get banned from every neutral place in an Urban Shadows game. It's gonna happen.
Have you been banned from Coven Prime? Not that we know what that is.
Yeah. I tried to shoot Alexi's character.
Oh, that's right. I was there.
But that was in another country, and besides, the wench is dead. All right. On to Emily. Yes, we still have Emily debts. Yes. Yeah. Tell us about your debts here.
Okay. Sorry, I just look at my notes where it says I owe people a lot of things. Someone told you their secrets and you haven't told anyone about them yet. They owe you 2 debts. I think the person probably fits as at least as someone who receive semi-regularly and not someone who I work for is Cosima?
Cosima.
Cosima,
I'd
yes.
probably let you call me Cozy.
Ooh. I mean, you'd let her. I don't know if Emily would call you cozy. I think she might find you a bit ornate, actually. Sorry, that's
all right.
You live fancy,
So
Victoria was down to earth.
So but Cozima's secret, or some of her secrets.
Yeah, which secrets do you think would fit?
Well, there's the obvious. I think maybe if we've spent time in my house together, at some point like the sleeve is slipped off my dressing gown or something, and you've seen that my body, underneath all the cloaks and the jackets and everything, is kind of a mess.
Like Portrait of Dorian Gray style, where only part of you has been preserved from the ravages of time.
More like I have had to eat parts of myself to stay alive at some points, and that has lingered.
Oh, fascinating.
Ooh.
All right, so the secret of self-cannibalism gives you, I believe it means that Cozy owes you 2 debts for preserving that secret.
Oh my god. Let me write that down. Self-cannibalism. Cool. Well, cool. Okay, all right. The next one is someone thinks they're protecting you. It's really more like you're protecting them, and we owe each other a debt.
Yeah, who do you think that is?
Yeah. I don't know if Emily's in a position to protect anyone. That's the thing.
I mean, the phrasing of the debt certainly makes it possible. It means it's possible that Emily is deluded about how this really works. suggest that she
Yeah.
at least thinks there's someone who needs her, right? That she's offering protection or help to.
Let's see. Probably, I think. I'm not sure. I'll throw it out to the other two. I think if any of you fit this, I'll
It's
say
possible
what the other one. I'll
Sophie?
say what the third one is as well.
Oh
actually.
yeah.
So it can be picked. So the third one is you're leveraging dirt you have on someone to get their help with something.
I'm torn because like I would be very careful with who I would make arrangements and owe debts to. So like the idea that I would ask someone kind of silly in my eyes for protection seems unlikely, as I know that would count as a debt in the Fey world. But if it's an imagined debt by Emily, I don't know.
It's enough of a debt that it has mechanical weight for you.
Right.
Yeah.
What if?
But if it doesn't fit, that's fine.
I just don't
The
know
way that this is
either of them.
phrased, though, it suggests that the person who is not you, Emil, thinks they're protecting you, but you're really protecting them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
me
that
so
fits
well.
for Sophie, Johannes. I know it feels like the third one kind of fits for Otto in a bit, because otherwise it is a bit weird that like Emily just kind of asked Otto to like do this kind of important.
Yeah. Do you have dirt on Otto you're leveraging to make him help you with this quest to find Victoria?
Yeah.
Maybe Victoria had the dirt, in whatever files of hers you're now looking through, right?
Yeah. Either like, I think Emily would claim there's a file, but more likely she heard this during pillow talk with Victoria, whatever this dirt she has on Otto.
Well, and just like being a witness to two different, to knowing that I was engaged in some double talk, that you're just in a position to, undo a major linchpin kind of thing for me, because you happened to have, been a fly on the wall in two different places.
Yeah, so it sounds like Emily, you've used this dirt to get Otto's help, but the fact you're leveraging it over him means you owe him a debt, which I think is more about how the aware is too good for this sinful world, and so engaging in some light blackmail leaves you feeling indebted. Does that track for you? You think that and for you, Otto, that makes sense?
Yeah.
There's a relationship between those characters.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think for the second one, it could kind of also apply to Otto. Maybe Otto can clearly see this girl's a bit out of her depth.
But you think you're protecting him because you have more a more direct access to the supernatural side of the city.
Yeah, I think that's something Emily would think she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, is it all right with you, Otto, if you end up having both of those pointed at you? Because I think that ultimate, what does that cash out to?
Let's see.
That you cash out to you owing several debts to Emily, but her owing a debt to you as well.
They already owe me one, and then the leverage would be another one, and then it would be 3 in my direction and 1 in hers.
Yeah.
That work for you, Emily? Because that's certainly allowed.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That is the currency that can be spent.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm used to owing a lot of things. It worked out well for me in my other Urban Shadows game. It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
I think go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Otto.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it may be that like the dirt that you have on me is considerably more explosive than either one of us thinks it is.
Ooh. I don't have an idea for what it could be, but I like the idea of like it feels, well, not innocuous, but it's enough to like leverage on you, but it's
It's
it actually does
actually
get
much worse. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll make a note of that and we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call for a little bio break here because I think we've settled up these debts and have a complicated web of relationships between these characters. So let's take a little bit. It's like 7 of the hour on my clock, so let's meet back at 5 past to take enough time for a little break here before we launch into our game. Hello, are we all back? Looks like almost. All right, are we all here and ready to go? Can folks hear me? Yep, great. We have established debts. We have introduced these characters. I think to hit the ground running, I'm gonna hold off on rumors entirely here, actually, unless someone's dying for a rumor. All right. Then let me ask a couple loaded questions, just to hard frame us up with a scene where we'll see all these folks bouncing around. Starting with you, Otto. Otto, why did you agree to steal something from Benedict Boggin's impressive collection of arcana at a gala the wealthy Viennese recluse was throwing? Who is it that needs you to pocket something from this this collection of artifacts of a mystical nature?
Well, actually, I was kind of backed into it. I didn't like initially. I thought that it was an entirely different kind of favor, and then at the last minute, it was kind of changed up on me in a way that I couldn't say no. It was let's see, I haven't tapped the English yet, so
Okay.
I would say that that it is a noted English eccentric who's taken up residence in Vienna looking for antiquarian texts.
And he was this eccentric was someone you owed a debt, and you only realized at the end of this discussion that the way they were asking you to fulfill the debt involved stealing from Boggin's collection.
Right. And actually, the embarrassing part is it's a backgammon debt.
It's not even a debt you've accrued through your other wheeling and dealing. You just kept losing backgammon against this English man or English woman. That's great. When you get a name for the character, give it to me. But I like that to start with. Emily, how do you hear about this plan, and why did you insist on helping? That's a question. It's a question for Emily.
Sorry, I didn't hear my internet went a bit. You went. So I didn't get what the question was. Sorry.
Yeah. Emily, how did you hear about Otto's plan to steal an arcane manuscript from Benedict Boggin's collection at a gala that the wealthy Viennese recluse is going to throw? And why did you insist on becoming part of this operation?
Oh God, how did I hear about it? I think I heard about it because Emily, I think on the type to like just show up at his place and start demanding info on his progress. We're looking for Victoria.
You showed up before your appointment and just had like your ear pressed to the to the wall before with his 1 o'clock was with Lady Aurora Falkirk.
Yeah.
Do we now have a name for?
I think that is something she regularly does that. I can't say that she randomly does. No, she regularly does that. So especially with Otto, because Otto's lived in the city his entire life. He knows some cool characters for sure. And he probably wouldn't tell me any of this stuff straight up anyway.
That makes sense. Why'd you insist on being part of this?
Because I think Aurora Falkirk was part of Victoria's list of notable people, which also had Otto on that list.
Oh, so you want to like, help out with this and then like turn up at the handoff and ingratiate yourself with this person to get her to lift the debt that Victoria owes her or something like that. Is that kind of the shape of it?
Yeah, I think Emily's first thought is that this could be another lead or something because Victoria was interested in this lady. Probably is I can expect like that more Victoria's death's going to show up, but this is just part of like trying. This is part of the way to track Victoria down. It's like, okay, this lady was of interest to her, so they're of interest to me.
All right, that makes sense to me. Cosima, when Emily mentioned this to you, why did you decide to be there at this gala, which otherwise you might not have might have turned your nose up at?
I don't think that any of the things that he has available are things that I'm interested in, but the people who will be there definitely do. So it's a good place to make some connections, get some invitations, maybe make a few offers.
Very good. So you're hoping to work the crowd a little at this gala. Are you invested one way or another in Otto's success or failure at the thievery?
Unless it's like an illuminated manuscript or something. No, if it's just magical, whatever.
I bet that it has artistic merit in addition to mystical significance. It's at least rumored to.
Well, we'll see when I see it.
Fair enough. Sophie / Johann, how did you get tipped off about Otto's plan here? And what's your goal at the gala?
Oh, they've invited Johannes to perform.
Excellent.
And, everyone prefers one or the other, so Sophie's not too bummed about it. But how did I learn about Otto's plan?
Yeah. Something tipped you off about what Otto's got planned for this evening.
I mean, I hear a lot of things at the cafe, and I have ears among the crowd usually, mainly to tell me whether there's good feedback about my performances and about the other performers, because I am the entertainment manager and sometimes someone's not really getting good reception and they have to be gotten rid of. But sometimes I learn things that are surprising.
I wonder if Aurelia Falkirk herself was in the audience at Cafe Marcus Aurelius, unless you.
I mean, somebody hired Johannes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, interesting.
Someone involved with things must have heard.
Oh, interesting. So Falkirk has you there for a particular reason. Are you meant to provide a distraction at a crucial point? Was there some slightly enigmatic instruction she gave you when she hired you to help entertain the crowd?
Just sort of to keep an eye on things, and that if anything suspicious seemed to be happening, then perhaps, certainly during a break, I might want to mention it, but otherwise, that I could do like a little hand gesture at someone who would be to the side of the stage. But I did let her know that, when I'm performing, I'm in full performance mode, and I might not notice things. So I'm assuming she has other people who are watching for her, and she just sort of asked me to be an extra eye. But my guess is that even if I started to notice, I probably wouldn't mention it if it's Otto, since he and I are friends. Hence my giving the extra caveat. It's both true and also good cover.
Okay. All right. I hear you. Let's let's see your characters as they arrive at this gala. The glitterati of post-war Vienna have gathered here because the rumor has always been that Benedict Boggin has kept up his family's ancient magnificence in his house at the outskirts of we'll call it the British sector of the city. However, he hasn't opened the doors in nigh on a decade. So when invitations for this gala went out, the rumors were flying fast and furious throughout the city. And I'll say that as you all have some experience of the supernatural side of the city, there's a sort of understanding that Benedict Boggin has this arcane collection and knows something of how to use it, such that he's power rather than mortality. If you're tracking who lands in what faction, but yeah, there are beautiful, distinguished people gathered around the reception hall here in the historic Boggin Manor. Tell me, Otto, what it looks like as you arrive, and are you and Emily arriving together since she's kind of made a pitch that she has to accompany you and help out with this plan.
Oh well, yeah. There's no way Emily would get into a party like this without me. So,
so you're bringing her in, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll ask each of you in turn. Describe just visually what we see on screen as your character makes their entrance. Starting with you, Otto.
Well, it is an unmarked building, as is fashionable, and it's raining, and basically there's a procession of vehicles coming up, but because of the kind of discreet nature of this, everyone is trying to be discreet in their approach. So there are there's an unusual number of people milling around waiting for an opportunity to slip into this building, in fact, interfering with each other in the process.
I love all these rich and distinguished people just playing at spies here to get into the gala. That's
right.
Great.
And yeah, but I'm fairly ostentatious about it. Step through and knock at the door, and have the appropriate password and invitation. Yes.
Yeah, you flash it at the little people in the doorway there.
Right.
Emily, you are here, kind of tagging along. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm kind of just a bit behind Otto by his side. I'm wearing some sort of shawl that I think Emily's kind of pitched Otto, it'll make her look more like a country bumpkin, so people won't notice her as much. Be fine. I've done this before. And when she says she's done it before, she's crashed parties like this with Victoria way back when. And most of the blame went to Victoria, but she's not around. So yeah, I think Emily's trying to play it cool. She's trying to look, I guess, like she's just hang off Otto, but just accessory to him, I guess.
Sure,
but
certainly.
she has to stop herself from bouncing on her toes because she's a bit excited. Not a bit excited, terribly excited.
Yeah, that's great. I think the I said it was a peephole, but I think it's one of those things that slides back, right? So you can kind of see the stern eyes of a butler type on the other side of this door. He says, Herr Moser, always a pleasure. And your daughter? Companion?
Let's stick with companion.
Very well. Herr Dr. Bogan extends his welcome, and the door opens up, and you're ushered in. Sophie, Johannes, I think you're already here because you've come in with the staff, right? There's caterers, there's perhaps other entertainers like musicians, but you were providing some of the entertainment this evening. Where do we see you, and how have you set yourself up to maximize your visibility, right, and ability to charm the guests?
Oh, darling, you don't understand. You don't come out before the show. You go out afterwards to collect all the accolades, and that's when you speak to everyone and impress them. You have to make your big entrance on stage. So I am just backstage. People can't see me, but I could probably peek out and see them. I'm, wearing my, pre-show robe that I love. Just doing a bit of makeup here and there, and, I have my one signature glove for Sophie. Even if she's not really performing, she likes to be decked out a bit. But yeah, I've got my... You don't want to show your costume to anyone either, so... But yeah, I'm sort of peeking out a bit in a way that I happen to know out of character because I am a performer. There are ways to see your audience without them seeing you. So I'm just watching to see who comes in and who they're with and all that sort of thing quietly.
Absolutely. I think there's a violinist there tuning up near you who's also part of the show, and he looks over and says, "Butterflies in your stomach?"
Should I say yes and just try to pretend? I don't think so. No, yours?
He kind of nods a little. He's like, "Every time, but once I get out there, it's all the music, right?"
Absolutely. And just remember, these people aren't musicians in the audience. They don't know. They'll love whatever you do as long as you hit a high note here and that's all they care about. Do that tremolo thing you all do where you move the bow really fast and it looks hard. They love that.
He kind of sniffs a little. I think he's not sure whether you're disparaging the art of the violinist.
Oh no, not at all. It's a true thing. Trust me.
Very well. Cosima, do we see you already mingling with the crowd, or do we see you arriving to make your entrance?
Arriving, I think. And if there are clumps of people out in front, she sort of she's got a red fox fur coat over a high neck dress, and she an umbrella or whatever, and she stops someone and asks for a light, sort of thing.
Yeah. They flick a fancy cigarette lighter open for you.
And then I offer them my arm, shall we?
Yeah.
You're not going to wait out here all night, I hope.
He kind of looks around like maybe he came with someone, but decides that that this seems like a better bet. So he takes your arm and heads to the entrance. Very good. And I think he says, I didn't catch your name. Fraulein?
If you like. Cosima.
That's great. Let's give him a name. He kind of does a awkward little bow. Jacob Semmelweis, at your service.
Herr Semmelweis. Well, would you care to share with me what you're after tonight?
Sounds like you might be triggering a move. Just because I think his eyes go wide a little bit. And he says, at the gala, what I'm after. like he either didn't get it or is pretending not to have.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, if you think he's a person you might have heard of before, you could put a face to a name, or you could roll to figure someone out.
Yeah, let's put a face to a name.
Yeah, I'll tell you to roll with mortality for that one.
And we have a roll for your party, but it is...
Yeah, the roll for party is Rightly Immense Rat, and I'll drop the link into our chat.
Actually, looking at these things, I think I'd like to figure someone out.
Very fair. Go ahead and roll plus mind, unless you've got a playbook move that's more appropriate.
Is smoking a vice?
I think it is. Go ahead and tell me how you kind of draw him into going through more of this pack of cigarettes than he expected to, as you try to wheedle some information out of him.
Yeah, it's indoors, but this is like the 50s, so
This is the
cares?
50s.
And I think she inhales like too much to burn it down quicker than she might otherwise, and finishes it, and then asks for another, and invites him to join her.
Do you do the thing where you take two and light them at the same time? Hand one over to him.
Sure, very intentionally too.
All right. Yeah, when you figure someone out by indulging their vices, roll with blood instead of mind. Yeah, and I think he's kind of eager but nervous as he's smoking with you. You get the sense he hasn't had a woman of your poise express any sort of interest in him before.
That is a whole lot.
What did you roll?
12
natural
plus,
12.
So that is 14.
Yeah. Go ahead and pick out some questions from Figure Someone Out there.
So yeah, I think after I finished my first cigarette, and as I'm handing him his first,
Yes,
and smoking my second, I think I say, and now that we have spent some time together, I'll ask you again. Perhaps you'll answer. Because everybody, darling, comes here for something.
he coughs. Fräulein Cozy, I hope I'm not as transparent as all that, but well, something about you seems trustworthy. So I'll go ahead and tell you, the Semmelweis family has fallen on difficult times. Our holdings are mostly in the Soviet sector of the city, and they've cracked down hard on my family business. So it's we need patronage, and with Benedict Boggin opening up his home, I was hoping maybe he was on the lookout for proteges. So and then he adjusts his bow tie. He's like, so I thought I should do my bit for the Semmelweis name.
It's happened to quite a few people. in the last few years.
Well, I can't.
But when you say protege, are you an artist?
Well, I dabble. He like kind of blushes a little, but like reaches inside his coat to like pull out a sketchbook. He probably like proffers it towards you like in a hopeful looking fashion. Oh, you're muted.
I will totally take it and look through it. Is he any good?
There's some potential there.
Okay.
Not necessarily to Cozy's taste though. I don't know. Tell me what she sees that tells her this artist has kind of just terribly retrograde aesthetics compared to the art she's interested in.
Oh, there's a movement. They did. I don't remember if this is too early or too late, but there's a movement in German art, I think, where they did like weirdly colored skin and like made it look terrible, but on purpose. I want to say it was just after the war, but I might be getting things mixed up. But anyway, he's that.
Yeah,
it's like green shading on people's skin, and it just looks weird. But that's the point.
Yeah, he's like, do you like it?
I'm sure I could find a buyer.
You're just filling this young man with hope, Cozy. I think you get one other question from that figure someone out that we can also play if you want some time to think about it.
Do you know Mr. What is his name? Boggins?
Bogan, I guess, or
Bogan.
I've been pronouncing it inconsistently, but it's Bogen.
Yes, perhaps I might come along with you to meet Mr. Bogan.
Absolutely, thank you. And just is there?
How could I get your character to introduce me to this man? It's always good to have someone in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got it right. As long as you have framed yourself as sort of his patron intercessor type, right? He will definitely introduce you to anyone he knows, right? Even this person that might be a kind of distant acquaintance that he's hoping to get taken under the wing of. So I think he's like nodding eagerly, say like thanking you for your offer, and like probably like gallantly lifts your hand to kiss it. Do you let him?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, then he will like start kind of wending his way, through the crowd to try to bring you towards Bogan.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's no time to waste. Otto and Emily, you arrive. There's a tray of champagne going around. And a waiter hands it to you. Otto, do you feel any like pangs of conscience at receiving this champagne, or are you just inured to this sort of thing because of that champagne shipment you misdirected before?
I'm pretty good at doing this with a straight face. I like make sure that there's nobody involved. Is Boris here?
Are you just asking that out loud to the help?
No. Well, I suppose I could, but is he in the room? I'm willing to leave that up to chance.
I'd love for you to roll to investigate a place of power.
All right.
Because I think you're scoping out the room, trying to figure out what's going on, who's at this shindig.
Okay, so which faction is that?
Power, I think, because
Power.
of
Okay, so
himself.
that would be +1.
Yep.
So 6.
That's a 6 all told there.
All told, yes.
Please mark power.
Okay.
Emily, just to check, would you want to lend a hand to Otto here? Or are you willing to leave him in the hands of fate?
No, I'm in the hand. Like I'm here to back him up. I may have immediately gone for a flute of champagne, but that's not like I'm unaware of what he's trying to do.
Yeah. I think like you see him looking around, and then you see somewhere in like his like blind spot someone like making their way through the crowd very like assiduously towards him. But yeah, go ahead and roll to lend a hand. Tell me how you help out here.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like whispering to his ear, like, "Oh, that's so and so. That oh, he's related to this. She's, oh, I've heard that." He really likes, I don't know, X sort of paintings, that sort of thing. I'm not in the most scandalous mood right now, so I can't come up with actual scandals. But I think Emily knows more names here than one wouldn't expect. All right, so I roll with their faction.
That's mortality.
Hell yeah! And I think I have a 1 in it. All right, that's a 9.
And let me check the move. On a hit, give them +1 or -2 to their roll. So you're giving them a +1 or a -2?
I'm backing him up. We're in this together, so definitely +1.
All right, with a +1, that pushes your investigated place of power to a hit. So you see below the surface to the reality underneath. All right, let me paint the picture here, and I might ask for your guys' help too. Yeah, the top brass of several of the occupying powers, as well as some of the major kind of artists, scholars, wealthy benefactors of the city of Vienna are all here, are all kind of speaking in slightly hushed voices, just because of the sense that this is an august occasion. This house finally being opened back up. But tell me, there's some art and other things on display, right? Like kind of set up as conversation pieces for the gala. But tell me how you can tell that the real treasures of Benedict Boggin are not the ones out on display here. Yeah, if you would, where you see kind of suspicious looking panels or passages or other things around the house that seem like they might lead deeper into the more kind of arcane side of his collection. Otto first, since you did this, you successfully investigated a place of power.
All right. What I am trying to take note of is the places that the people in the know seem to be avoiding looking at. With the idea that they're like as I read the room, I'm kind of looking for that pattern of attention.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so you see some of the folks who would be scholars or wizards, even, right? The people that move and shake the supernatural side of the city, just sort of studiously stepping away from the wall where there's the like coat of arms of the Boggin family and like the two like crossed swords underneath it, seemingly kind of not wanting to look like they're staring covetously at it or anything like that. Emily, what do you see that clues you into where the deeper treasures of Benedict Boggin might be stashed away?
I think it's kind of related to what Otto notices, but I think just to tie in with how she helped, what she notices is like, yeah, the personages or the people who are kind of like making a studious effort to like direct attention to only these paintings and to only that. I think she even sees like I want to call him Boggins now, but his name's not Boggins.
Herr Dr. Benedict Boggin.
Yeah. I think she sees the Herr Doctor himself, kind of like looking really stiff, Like he doesn't look like he knows how. Well, not knows, but like doesn't look like he talks to people much. But
Yeah.
what kind of Emily knows about Benedict Boggin is that he is much like what Otto said. He's concentrating attention on a specific part of the gala, and kind of like making sure that kind of the center of gravity is on him,
Yeah.
and like and I think Emily will notice, like, but not Otto notices as well. It's like there are certain areas that are just innocuous because it seems like their type of security is draw eyes away instead of like just having a lot of security.
There might even be a touch of a supernatural effect to it, where like people's eyes just seem to gloss over certain places, and you have to have a little concentration and a little like mystic know how to even like focus on a particular doorway or something. Sounds like you rolled into triggering put a face to a name on Benedict Boggin, though. Since you've narrated our first sighting of the man with his kind of intense, deep-set eyes. Please roll for that, and if you want to say you did your homework, that I believe is an aware move that replaces the normal effect of put a face to a name.
Hell yeah, I will totally roll did your homework, because that has some interesting new things that could happen. So when you put a face name,
I think you still get to mark power, but you roll with mind instead of power,
which is good. All right, so I rolled a 9, and yes, I'll get to mark power. So on a 17, on a hit, you know a dangerous secret about them or the political machinations. Oh boy.
That was just a regular hit you rolled.
Yeah. They unfortunately didn't get a 10 plus. I would have gotten a death on them, which would have been amazing. But
oh man, that would be great. Yeah, a dangerous secret about them or their political machinations. I've got a proposal for you if you're up for it.
Let me hear it.
Yeah, I think that you might have heard through the grapevine, right? Poking around on the supernatural scene, that some of this arcane collection that Benedict Boggin has assembled includes the sort of occult artifacts that the Nazis were trying to warp to their own ends in the last war. So things that are at this point extremely illegal to own, right? And that every one of the occupying powers in the city would consider criminal to be in possession of, are part of his collection, but potentially quite powerful or lucrative things, given that the Nazis were combing their whole conquered territory for every sort of mystical artifact they could get their hands on. Does that work for you as a dangerous secret?
Yeah, yeah, that seems quite potent, especially with the climate. I think kind of like when that kind of like fact kind of comes back to Emily, I think she just kind of like stares at Benedict Boggin for a bit, just like, oh yeah, ugh. the stuff he has.
That's great. So the person who was kind of approaching through the crowd is coming up towards you. If you turn Otto, you will recognize her. Your contact, with the French diplomatic corps, Anna Bloom, and she kind of looks between the two of you. She says, Otto, what a lovely surprise to see you here. You must introduce me to your charming young friend. Sorry, you're muted.
There we go. This is young Emily, another lost lamb. As you know, I am inclined to take under my wing.
Yes, I'm his companion, apparently, for tonight.
She delicately raises one extremely French eyebrow.
I am willing to let it go unstated. we're all people of the world.
Indeed, c'est la vie. But she she kind of, I think she probably catches Emily like
Yeah.
looking so intently over at Benedict Boggin. She says like,
Mhm.
our esteemed host, Herr Doctor, have you crossed paths with him before, Otto? It seems that you know everyone in this city.
I make a point of kind of casually looking over as though I hadn't clocked him already. And yes, I in fact have. Although in a very different context that will be dictated by the roll I'm about to make.
Are you rolling old friends, old favors?
Yes, I am.
Let's see it.
All right, so that's plus mind, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes, it is. Okay, so, and that is a 10, all told.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Give us the little bit of flashback here to why is it that Benedict Boggin is an old friend and yeah, exactly. And you don't even know him a
Why
death for
does
this.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, no, there's no. He would be willing to offer me comfort or aid on a hit.
Yeah, and I'll let you approach
yeah.
him for that momentarily.
All right. Yeah,
Give me the
Okay, so
flashback for a second.
so essentially, because he's often moving sensitive materials in and out of town, he's needed some help in acquiring the proper documentation. I have I've seen quite a number of I've forged a number of manifests for him. Currently, it seems like we're relatively even on the books, but he also knows that I have some that I know a bit more about the inner workings of his affairs than he might want me to.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I think as you like reminisce about this, we see someone. It's 1950. Yeah. We see someone hand Boggin a microphone that he kind of like taps very uncomfortably, and he says, "It is an honor to have you fine people here this evening. Please continue to eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Am I right?" And there's no like there's like a very awkward like slow build of laughter as people realize this was meant to be some kind of a joke, and he like chuckles once or twice to himself and then says, "And tonight's entertainment, please put your hands together for Johannes." And I think that's the point where your curtain draws back, or your cue is spoken. Johannes, how do we see you? And a costume change. You're muted though.
Sorry about that. It's only a minor costume change. Johannes prefers this to the Fascinator. Makes more sense for him, he feels.
Yeah, tell us about your
It's got
performance,
flowers,
Johannes.
I don't think you can see it, which is good for the spring thing. Well, of course, there's the parting of the curtains, and Johannes is sort of waiting there. I guess he would use this arm, really. He's got a few, like, backup people up to the side in a V shape, and he walks up to the microphone and just starts singing something quietly, but somehow it still captures everyone's attention. And his performance ranges wildly. He's sort of a cabaret style performer, obviously.
So all over different genres, or is there like a unifying style?
Various types of music, from sort of your upbeat that you could do any of the popular dances of the time, to sweet and soft and seductive. Something that, like, there's no one in the audience that would not be interested in at least one of the songs, if not many of them. But, can't leave anything out when you've got a big crowd at a gala like that. And the various backup people, they sing backup vocals when needed. They sort of carry Johannes like laying on his side. Stupid StreamYard. Can't ever figure it out. Why do you use StreamYard, Alexi? It throws off all of my specialness. But anyway. But yeah, like, laying on his side like this with people sort of carrying him across the stage occasionally. That sort of thing, Nothing too ostentatious. But just enough to catch people's eye. And then everyone's very into it, but right before they would start to maybe tire of it, the show's over. And he has to leave, because you always leave them wanting just a bit more.
I feel like a roll should be triggered here, and I want to propose that it might be let it out. If you're letting out the power within you to, put on this show.
Why not? Although you can say I fail and I won't believe you. Spirit, that's fun. All right. Where did I put them here? Oh, boo. Apparently I fail, although I don't, because I don't ever.
No, that's great. That's great. You rolled a 4?
5 with spirit, but yes.
5 with spirit. Okay, fair enough.
It's all right. We all know that roll for your party is just jealous.
Tell me how you feel your kind of fey nature struggling to kind of get out of your control as you're performing.
Ooh, I like that. Good choice. Thank you. So I don't really do the magic stuff while performing, at least not outside of special. We have like special nights at the cafe where only people in the know might be in attendance, and then I might pull out a trick or two. But in a public performance like this with lots of mortals, I have to keep it to just performance, and I don't get to use any illusions or turn into an animal or any of that. And yet, the adrenaline of the performance and the adoration of the crowd, I just want to impress them,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very hard to keep that in check.
Yeah.
I know I could do so much more than this, I mean, a mortal could do this, not as well as I could, but they could technically do it, anything that I'm doing.
Yeah, so first of all, mark corruption.
All right.
From that that internal struggle against your own nature here. And then I'll say you also see someone kind of clapping very pointedly at you from the crowd. And when you look more closely, you see it is definitely your dearest Jean-Luc, monarch of the Spring Court.
Oh no. I didn't do it though. I didn't do it. I was tempted, but I didn't do it.
As you're exiting the stage, he makes like a gesture with his head, like, "Come on, darling."
Bother, I better put on my robe and try to sneak over there. Stupid face, stupidness. Fine.
All right. We'll cut back to that momentarily. Cozy, you and the artist that you've acquired here have made your way over to Benedict Boggin, who is sort of distractedly like swirling champagne in a glass and not drinking it, but like just like eyes darting all around this room. I think Jacob, turns and is like, should I approach first, or should you? How should we do this?
Together.
He kind of like straightens up his spine, like steeling himself, like, all right, it's showtime. Is the subtext as he walks with you towards Benedict Boggin, Herr Bogen looks up, sees the two of you, kind of narrows his eyes. Do I know you?
I hope you do know him. I think you're supposed to make his introduction or something, right? Is he frozen?
No, I'm. Am I? Yeah. Yeah, I think he's kind of starting to stammer something, right? But not kind of successfully getting it out.
Are the drinks not to your taste?
No, he realizes that he's been doing that. No, just nerves, I suppose. So unusual to see so many people crawling over my ancestors' estate.
Yes, looking at all your things, touching all your things, and yet you're willing to part with some of them.
We all have to make changes to accommodate the times.
I do understand that.
I see your Swain has forgotten himself, Fräulein Benedict Bogen, and you are
Zergil.
He kind of does he probably kisses your hand also, right? Like, again in his like slightly like cold and jerky manner. Do you want to put a face to a name here, or do you?
I would
feel
love
sufficiently-
to.
Yeah. Let's learn some more about this guy's deal then.
And this is with
Power.
faction. Oh, I don't know if I signed. I did not.
Well, you can assign advantageously if you so desire, right? It's the thing where you get to add 1 to one of them, I believe. Let me just check. Are folks all right if we go 10 minutes over here, or should we aiming to wrap up momentarily? Just because it feels like we could get to touch more of a cliffhanger, but I also want to respect people's time.
I ordinarily am all for staying over as long as one needs, and this one time I can't. But I like the cliffhanger that I've been headed off with. You know who.
Right.
So
all right.
you all want to keep playing for a few minutes? I don't mind, and I can watch the video for anything that I missed, and feel free to send any wishes my way. But I apologize. I do have to head off this once.
Totally understandable, Pearl, and thank you very much. Looking forward to playing with you again. I believe you're in at least a couple more of the sessions here, right?
I believe I'm in all of them.
Excellent.
Except if there was one during Big Bad Con, I might have had to drop it, but I don't think there was, because it's like
it should be avoiding Big Bad Con now.
No, just for me, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good because it's Monday, right? So the con's over. So yeah, I think I'm in all of them.
Very good. Well, excited to have you back next week and find out what happens next there for Sophie / Johans. All right. Do we
Been
have
lovely, everyone? Sorry, mustache.
Do we have those factions assigned, Kosi?
Yes, and it's an 8 for power.
An 8 for power. All right, and go ahead and mark power after you do that as well. Right. Yeah, put it into a face. Yeah, you know their reputation, and I think I'll like specifically, his, some of his supernatural reputation, right? That the Bogan ancestors, the kind of people who kind of first like rose to prominence as dealers in the occult here in Austria, and specifically Vienna, were a kind of hereditary coven that practiced ritual sacrifice to gain power over the the mystic side of the city. So you've and you in your long life you may even have encountered his ancestors, but not him, not Herr Dr. Benedict himself before. So that seemed legit as a put a face to a name answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, your artist friend kind of manages to recover himself, and he's like terribly sorry. I was starstruck, Herr Doctor. Please, Jacob Sammelweis, you might remember me. And Benedict kind of like waves a hand slightly dismissively right at him, and kind of continues talking to you, Cozy. He says, "How is it that someone so apparently cultured and knowledgeable has never
Has come to a place like this?"
Well, you see these people, and he's back to kind of using the champagne flute, right? To like gesture dismissively at this crowd.
Yes, they track in the mud.
Digging for lucre, rutting in the filth. This city was once host to something proud and dangerous and blood-soaked, and now we bow and stoop and curry favor with the Americans and the Soviets and the British and the French.
And they leave fingerprints. And they take your things. The city was beautiful once. I came here years ago, before all of this, before they carved it up like a flank of meat. You're quite right.
Just to check, are you triggering a move here? Including intimacy, your intimacy move? Just checking if any of these trigger. Otherwise, I'm.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell them a secret about yourself. Let's, because then he's in my web.
Yeah. So tell me how the moment like gets the sort of unmistakable feeling of intimacy, even in the midst of this this larger space.
I think he starts talking about like what the city was host to, like something great and bloody, and like that like red halo kind of flickers into existence as she leans forward.
The kind of in her eyes, you mean? Yeah.
And she starts, like talking about the city as it used to be, and how even the beautiful things that we have been rearranged and given away and stolen. I think they don't deserve what you're offering tonight or any other night. And I know you have such things in this house as would leave them breathless with wonder and with terror.
Yeah, he looks at you, kind of eyes going a little wider, and he says, "When you say you know the city from before, you don't just mean before the war, do you?"
And like she inhales, and it's like the air kind of gets sucked in. And the atmosphere changes. Long ago, And I kind of reach out and hook my arm to his. Let me tell you about it. And I will try to lead him off into like one of those places where people aren't looking.
Yeah, I buy it. I'm gonna go ahead and say you've tipped your hand about a secret here. He'll enter your web and owe you a debt, so write that down. Otto and Emily, I think you spotted Benedict before. You probably have been able to like make your way through the crowd to see see Cosima taking him by the arm. What do you do?
Hold on. There we go. I approach him fairly boisterously, kind of like brace him by the shoulders, say, why so glum, my old friend? You know that Vienna has always been here for you.
Otto, what a lovely thing to see you here tonight. Are you enjoying the gala?
Oh, well, certainly. Any time I have the opportunity to make your acquaintance and see the product of our collaboration, I am always pleased.
Oh, man, are you kind of dropping him about what you've done with him before? Yeah, he kind of like sighs ruefully. He looks to Cozy because he was in the midst of a entrancing conversation. So I think he says, Otto, my friend, I know you're not just here for the champagne. If there's something you need,
There shall be time for that later, I think, but not now.
It sounds like you're getting in the way. I don't know if there's a mechanic where we have here. Yeah, Otto, I feel like you've stepped in, right? Benedict's in the middle of his own stuff. He's well disposed to you because of that move before. Right. You might need to try to persuade him to get what you want right now. Unless you've got another
well, is there here. Well, two factors. Is what kind of timetable am I on with this acquisition?
I think that Lady Aurora Falkirk feels that you owe her the manuscript as soon as possible, and that the gala is the perfect opportunity because people don't get into this estate match otherwise.
Well, the other side of it is next session is the one I'm not enrolled in. So I might want to kick the ball down the field a little bit.
Yeah.
So perhaps I will simply leave my calling card with quickly scrawled assignation at maybe a coffee house.
And just kind of handing. You can see he's being pulled away, and so you're handing him the card to be like, let's be in touch.
Yeah.
That's great. Emily, you've tagged along, or are you examining other stuff in the ballroom? What do we see you doing?
I think I was going to tag along because I see that Otto is getting in the way of what looks to Cosima like a very nice meal, but it seems it's breaking up amicably. I think I raised a champagne flute at Cosima's direction, but it looks like things are doing fine. So I've held back, and said I'm kind of like just I'm scoping out, I guess, what I was kind of curious as to where Sophie / Johannes went off to, but they're gone. So I think I am just kind of like mingling and it just
looking around. You see kind of like far further away, kind of in one of those places in the room where you notice people's eyes just seem to slide right over a slender, dark-haired woman. It looks a lot like Victoria.
Oh, of course it is. I think I'm gonna down the rest of my champagne and kind of like West Wing my way towards that woman.
Yeah, as you do, it seems almost like you trying to do this kind of causes people, unintentionally to get in your way. Just like once you like focus on her and start moving towards her, the rest of the party just starts like jostling you. People kind of just like stepping right in your way as you're trying to go through. I'm probably going to ask you to keep your cool if you want to just kind of push on, unless you have another strategy here.
No, I think the idea that Victoria might be nearby is not. I'm not thinking of more subtle ways to get through. So I think I'll try to keep my cool.
Yeah, please roll plus cool, or yes, plus spirit, because this is a game where spirit is a stat, not cool.
I think I know what that other game is. Oh, that's a 6.
That's great. Let's cut away from you for 1 second and just let me check in. Cozy, what's your intention here?
Well, he's got
to pull Benedict away.
Yeah, I think like in the course of our conversation, I would like to like steer him through other rooms of the house to see what he's got.
I see. Just to scope out the scene.
Little reconnaissance.
Yeah. We. Given the lateness of the hour, I'm just gonna volley that back at you. What do you see here that you long to possess, Kosi?
I think there's like the head of a Roman statue that he has acquired, but it's magical in some way. Like this is a head that was turned to stone by a Medusa.
Oh, nice! It's the head of a Roman statue, but it's actually the trophy of a Gorgon. Yeah. I like that a lot.
I knew you would.
Yeah. Do you make a play for it, or are you playing it cool, playing the long game here?
I'll pause and admire it. I think probably like remark like how much it looks like him, even though it doesn't.
Yeah, and he kind of awkwardly like preens a little at this. Are you cashing in a debt? Are you rolling to persuade? Are you or are you kind of leaving it there as kind of groundwork, right?
Yeah, I might like lay a hand on it and sort of like move toward it so that it's sort of tucked under my arm. Tell me, you're giving away something or you're selling something tonight. But I know just the place for this.
Is that so, Fraulein?
It is.
Where do you see it?
There's a corner in my house next to my copy of Goethe. I think it would look lovely there. May I? I think persuade.
I think it's persuade. I think it's persuade with the like extremely esoteric seduction of talking about Goethe. So roll plus heart.
That's a lot. That's a 10.
Yeah. He says, he kind of makes a sort of generous gesture with his hands spread wide. He says, "It is yours. None of these Philistines would appreciate it anyway." And then probably kind of like, turns as like a member of the staff. It comes and like whispers something to him. He nods and like opens up like one of those like globe style liquor cabinets, and pulls out a like small like black bottle, which he hands to the staff member who kind of glides away with it.
Is that more to your taste?
He does that morbid chuckle like from his toast before and says, not mine so much, no. Emily, we cut back to you. See what's afoot here. I think you like kind of how do you kind of violate decorum as you try to press through this crowd to get to where you thought you saw Victoria?
I think I'm just a tad too loud and a tad too noticeable when I'm trying to like break through the crowd. It's a lot of like, excuse me. I think it's loud enough that like, the vast chunk of the hall will notice. Probably even like Otto, who's far away at this point, would hear. And it's like, oh dear, Emily's making a scene, because she's totally making a scene trying to get through.
Can I offer an assist on this?
I mean, well,
I have something in mind. So I think that what we could do is that the disruption that she's created is overshadowed when I am clocked by Colonel Wyman.
Is that the American?
Yes, that's the American officer who I screwed over, and like he sees me across the room, and I have to quickly make good my escape.
Does he bellow something at you as you?
Yeah,
check your way out?
Very in a very uncouth American way, like pointing of fingers and all kinds of vulgarities.
Yeah. There's probably Anna, the French diplomat, just like gasps right next to him at his ugly Americanness. That's brilliant. Emily, you kind of have made a scene of yourself, but do like get to where you thought you saw Victoria, and there's nobody there, but there is a note lying on the ground. We'll check back in on that in a sec. Otto, it sounds like you want to roll to escape a situation.
Okay. So that is blood.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe that is a -1. So
there you go.
Let's see how that plays out. 7.
Okay. So, this is great. You can escape, right? You will get out of here. And I hit you get away, but you get to choose 2 from this list. Suffer harm during your escape, end up in another dangerous situation, leave something important behind, owe someone a debt for your escape, or give in to your base nature and mark corruption. So which 2 of those do you pick?
I think that Anna interposes herself in just long enough for me to make my exit.
So you owe her a debt for
Yes.
running interference on the American.
Right.
Yeah, I will note that down. And I since based on the fiction at the beginning, I'd have you start owing her a debt, so now you owe her 2 debts. Just so we're keeping track of that. Great.
Yes.
And then which other option do you pick?
Oh, which other one? Yeah, I am. While I'm able to get away, I think that I'm having to. I'm being like pursued by his MP escort.
So are you saying you end up in another dangerous situation?
Yes.
That's great. So give us the shot, which I think is like the like closing shot for Otto for this this session. How do we see that you haven't fully or that you've gone out of the frying pan into the fire here?
I am making my way through the shadowy streets of Vienna, in trying to looking for some way to throw this tail off.
Yeah, you're kind of and like just to paint the scene, because we've left this like scene of opulence. You are on the streets, and there's like the thing that's true, right, is that some like vestiges of the war are just like hanging out here. So there's like the rusting hulk of a Nazi tank that you just like have to like dart your way around moving through the streets. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Emily, do you pick up and read that note?
Immediately.
Yeah. It's kind of in like what's Victoria's handwriting like?
Terribly elegant.
I predicted it might be so. Yeah. So in terribly elegant hand, in kind of dark purplish ink on cream paper, there's a note, and it reads, "Get everyone out of the building before midnight," and then it's just signed with a lipstick kiss at the bottom of the page.
Oh boy.
And you look up at the clock and see that it's a quarter to midnight right now.
Oh my gosh.
And that might be the cliffhanger we wrap on here. Thanks for being willing to stick around an extra amount of time to get to some place, but I think we've got some interesting cliffhanger fodder here for all these characters. And the end of session move is just kind of a double check on if there's a faction you've learned more about, you move that faction up and another faction down. So you can tell us if you've learned more about a faction, and then you also tell us if you feel someone did you a favor without redress, or you helped someone else out without receiving satisfaction, and that kind of can create more debts there as we check in. So just to check real quick, Otto, do you think you learned more about a faction?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's kind of a push for me at best.
Did you do or receive any favors here?
Well, I helped Emily out pretty significantly.
I think she owes you another debt for that.
Wow, we're really racking them up over here.
Got to start cashing those in.
Yeah, I know.
I remember cash in a debt is a faction move, so it's legit to use
Yes.
towards
Yes.
advancements.
Yes.
Cool. Anyone do you a favor that you feel should be recognized here?
Not that I can see. No. Anyone feel as though they did so?
No, that's all right.
All right.
Cozy, should you learn more about a faction?
Benedict is power,
Correct.
or okay, I'll bump that up.
Any faction going down?
Mortality.
Yeah, you stood up that poor Jacob
What's his face?
Semmelweis.
He's always ugly.
Oh, but you said you liked it.
I said I could sell it.
Any favors you feel you did or received that ought to be reflected in the debts?
Not that's not covered by the mechanics.
Fair enough. Emily, learn anything more about a faction?
Yeah, I was wondering about that because did my homework is like I did all that learning off screen, but would that count to learning more?
Yeah, totally. We can roll it in here.
Cool. So I think up power. Then I think I know less about Knight because Victoria's. What are you doing? What is this?
You remain so elusive.
Yeah, what is this? What's gonna happen? Oh God, I have a week to figure this out.
Very good. And any favors done or received that you feel are not already reflected in debts?
I think Otto covered that. So.
All right. Thanks everybody for playing. This has been a exciting first session of Urban Shadows Vienna 1950. We'll be back next week and try to hit the ground running once we introduce the new cast member to get a lot of play in and figure out some of these mysteries and work through some of these intrigues in Urban Shadows Vienna 1950.